And welcome back to Listen Up, Maryland. Alongside my co-host Phil Becerra, I'm Ryan Renner. And we're back here on Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's Grill in Sportsland in Middletown, Maryland. And Phil, we got another UConn game to recap here today. The UConn Huskies. We knew it was going to be a big game. We just had an episode on Friday. We're coming back here on Sunday. And we,
Yeah.
we talked about this game before, how it was going to be, a shootout. We didn't think it was going to be a blowout. And we saw for the first three quarters that this UConn Huskies team and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they played a tough physical game throughout these three quarters. It was really close. And like we kind of expected, we said that, we thought that UConn was going to be able to handle their business at home and really take flight in the fourth quarter. And that's what happened. And the final score from this game ended up being 74-54 or 73-54, excuse me, in favor of the UConn Huskies.
Yeah. Another win, the fifth win of the year. And I think this one was very important. Although we did, I thought it would have been a little bit more closer than this, but it looks like the Huskies ran away with it in the fourth. They scored 22 points there. You had the chance to watch the game actually today. I didn't.
I did, yeah.
So I was like, well, Ryan, hopefully you took a lot of notes for us. But in this short period of time on the short episode. So yeah, just talk a little bit, go over the scoring, I guess, if you want to lead it off there. And talk about your biggest surprise of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the start of the game, I noticed Notre Dame was coming out in a zone, and they played the zone for mostly the entire game. And Notre Dame created turnovers. UConn, that was a big part in this game, I noticed, and it's a level of concern for me, even though UConn did pull away at the end of the fourth quarter there. They had a lot of turnovers in this game, and they came out a little flustered, but both teams had good ball movement throughout the whole entire game. They found the open player, created the best shot for themselves. Notre Dame's a very good 3-point shooting team. You can't give them a lot of space, or they're going to make you pay. Dara Marbury, Sonia Citron are not afraid to let it fly from beyond the arc. And talking about
that was, let me stop you there real quick so I can correct
yeah.
myself. In the last episode, I made a mistake. Yeah, I think it was Citron that actually had the most points in Notre Dame's last game. So that's why I made a mistake. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure it was Citron. He scored like 20 or 30, I think, in the last Notre Dame victory. But I had that wrong. I think that's a game they won, correct? Notre Dame was coming off of a victory going into this game.
Yeah, they did. They're 7-1 coming off the victory. And Citron, the freshman guard, she's been a big part for this team coming off the bench. She gets a lot of big minutes coming off the bench. And Maya Dotson for this Notre Dame team, she's a 6'3" senior center. She transferred from Stanford, and she actually opted out the last season, the 2020 season, so she didn't even play. And she plays a pretty big role starting for this Notre Dame team. She provides a huge boost in terms of her size down in the paint. She didn't have the best of games today, but I think she'll continue to improve for this team throughout the season. And the freshman phenomenons for this Notre Dame team, Olivia Miles, a 5'10" freshman guard, and Sonia Citron, a 6'1" freshman guard. Of course, Citron, like I mentioned, she comes off the bench, but she plays a big role for this team. She gets a lot of minutes. And in the first half, she came in 3 minutes, into the game, and she didn't come off the floor. So big game from her. She had 10 points in the first half. She finished with 19. Maddie Westbeld, she was the leading scorer coming into this game for Notre Dame. She only had 2 points in the first half. She finished with 7. Notre Dame struggled shooting the ball this game, and I think that hurt them. But despite that, it was a 7-point game at the end of the third quarter. And we just saw UConn. They picked up the pace. They picked up the energy at the start of the fourth quarter, and they really just pulled away from Notre Dame at the end.
Yeah, I was reading comments. I don't want to quote him directly because I can't actually come across the article now. I should have wrote it down. But Gino was commenting about, I think, how important playing the defense, stepping up on defense. They said that obviously the turnovers, like you said, are big. And when you have when you're playing a team like UConn, especially we talk about Notre Dame since they just played Notre Dame today. Notre Dame, you said they turned the ball over a lot today. Is that correct?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and
So
so
that's what
so
I'm
did
saying. I
UConn
mean,
too.
when
A
you
lot
yeah,
of a lot of turnovers in this game.
when you play a team like like UConn, it's already tough to contain them. We see that because at halftime it was still what, a 10-point game.
Yeah, yeah, 10-point game, close game throughout 3 quarters.
So again, that's what we were kind of expecting Notre Dame to keep it close. Although I thought it would come down to the fourth quarter, I was wrong on that one. But again, when you turn the ball over against UConn, usually they're going to make you pay, and
Yeah,
that's what I think that. And again, I don't want to quote him directly, but I would think he was talking about how well UConn can actually shoot from 3-point range. Although I think they're still working on driving the ball down in the paint.
right.
Because and again, if you can do both of those things offensively, man, you're gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to point out that I noted throughout the entire game, that the Huskies, they don't get to the free throw line a whole lot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what it says is that they're not an aggressive team like you just mentioned. But
Yeah.
I did notice throughout the game they were trying to improve on being more aggressive. Olivia Nelson Adota, I wanted to point out her battling Maya Dotson throughout the whole entire game. They battled it out. Nelson Adota actually fouled out at the end of the game. She finished with 14 points, but she had a big game in terms of rebounds too. And I think that was a big part in why UConn was able to pull away. Olivia had 11 rebounds at the end. She finished with 13, not 14, excuse me, 13 points for Olivia Nelson Adota. But Dorka Juhas coming off the bench, Olivia Nelson Adota starts. Their size alone in the paint allows them to get so many second chance points, so many rebounds, offensive rebounds, and just creating extra possessions for this UConn team was a huge part in why they were able to stay ahead and really pull away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm seeing here actually the turnovers that UConn actually had 21 compared to Notre Dame 16.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's still a lot of work in progress for Ariema's girls. But I just think that, and especially when you look, I mean, the story tells it, the box score always tells itself, right? I mean, 28 for 61. They were shooting around 45% of their field goals today. UConn was. That's pretty good in my opinion. But then you look down at the 3-point line and the stats. I mean, Notre Dame didn't attempt as many 3-pointers, only attempted 17. UConn attempted 23. If you're going to attempt them 3-point shots, to me, you have to make sure that you're, pretty confident you're going to make most of them, because obviously a good rebounding team will make you pay if you miss some 3-point shots. And UConn they were 9 for 23, 39% on their 3-point attempts. Again, that's something that I think that they could probably work on. I understand, this is not a professional league, but at the same time, you're getting a lot of talented girls out of high school. And of course, you have the transfer from Ohio State. So again, you have some experienced players on the roster, and arguably the most talented player in the nation in Paige Bueckers. So I think that that's something for coach to work on down the stretch. I just don't know if that low of a percentage of field goal, if you're going to attempt that many, 23 a game, if you're going to miss, I don't know if that's something that can get the job done come March.
Yeah, and another player I wanted to point out for UConn, Caroline Ducharme, the freshman, top 5 recruit that Coach Gino got. She really found their shot in the fourth quarter, and she was another big part of the run. That UConn started off the fourth quarter with the 12-0 run,
Yeah.
and they really picked up the pace and the energy, and that really all started with Paige Bueckers creating turnovers, drawing fouls for this team. But Ducharme found their shot. She scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, and she finished with all of her points coming in that fourth quarter. With Azzy Fudd and Aubrey Griffin out for this game. Of course, Azzy Fudd dealing with that injury. Aubrey Griffin, we thought coming into the season she was going to be a big part of this team, but we haven't seen a whole lot of her throughout this season, dealing with a back injury. But Caroline Ducharme really found her shot in the fourth quarter. And that, if she can, continue that going into these next couple of games, really finding her shot, she can really provide a boost coming off the bench for this UConn team.
Yeah. And again, that was Caroline.
Right.
Is it Ducharme? Ducharme?
Yeah, Ducharme. Yeah.
She contributed 14 minutes, and you're right, 14 points. So that was big. Let's go over the AP top 25 again. Even if it looks the same, Ryan, to cap off this episode presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. How do you see things shaking up after this weekend when the committee comes out with the new top 25? Again, just focus on the top 10. Any big shakeups that you see that you can imagine in the next week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll be a whole lot. I mean, I would expect South Carolina to hold the number one spot. I think maybe UConn gains sole possession of the second seed. Really big win today against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a really good team. They have a lot of scores on that team. Like we mentioned before,
UConn
they
did
were
a very good job today containing them because they proved me wrong. I thought it would come down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Notre Dame ranked 24th, and I would expect them to drop out now. NC State, I think they'll probably be number 3. I don't think there'll be a whole lot of change up. Arizona's really on a roll. Maybe Tennessee sneaks into that top 10. I talk about my Vols a lot. They're looking really good, so maybe they sneak into the top 10.
All right, this has been a presentation of Dempsey's and Sportsland in Middletown, Maryland. Ryan, looking forward to the next game very quickly. Any concern again for UConn, or they have that one wrapped up pretty easily? It looks like December the 9th, if I'm looking here correctly, against yes, December the 9th, Thursday. So this Thursday. It's looking like we'll try to recap that one. They go up against another unranked school, and that's Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, major concern at the end of the game. I wanted to finish off with this, a little bit of a sad note, if you will, but Paige Bueckers was bringing the ball up the court, and she kind of made a quick move. It wasn't a no contact on this play. It was about with 40 seconds left in the game. She made a quick dribble to the left, and her left knee buckled from under, and she went straight down to the floor. She had to get carried off of the floor. She was unable to put any weight on the left knee or ankle. We'll obviously find out in the next couple of days how severe the injury is, but obviously prayers up for Paige Bueckers. And I think I can speak for all of women's college basketball fans, though. I wish
the whole nation
all the best for Paige Bueckers, but
oh wow,
I don't want to speculate anything, but it didn't look very good. Obviously, she was in tears. You could tell she was in a lot of pain. So obviously, I wish all the best for Paige Bueckers.
Yeah, well, oh my, yeah, that is devastating. I'm just now seeing this too, Ryan. I'm glad you pointed that out. That's that'll bring tears to your eyes quickly, man. I mean, the impact that she's had on so many in only her second year in college. Oh boy. Definitely prayers from all of us back here in Maryland and all across the nation. Wow. All right. So moving on, I guess well, I tell you, I don't want to sound too negative, but I tell you what, that could really again, I'm not saying that they can't play without her, but that should really shake things up on the schedule if something comes out that we won't like to hear. You know what I mean? So but well, let's go and look at it at the positive way, and let's say that you do have Paige Bueckers in the lineup coming up. Let's hopefully it's just a minor injury, and she'll be able to get back to work here soon. But again, any issues with Georgia Tech? They're unranked school. I know after that, man, they have a UConn. As far as UConn has a tough stretch, and then they go up against UCLA, and then you have that matchup you pointed out, December 19th, number 10 Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Obviously, hopefully we'll find out in the next couple days how severe the injury is. But I just pray that it's not too severe and she's able to make a quick return to the lineup because I just, obviously with their conference, we talked about this that it's not the strongest conference, but like you mentioned, the schedule is only going to get tougher from this point on. So obviously UConn's a very talented team. They have a lot of depth. We talk about that a lot. They get a lot of recruits, but she's just the heart and soul of this team, and she was a big part in why they really pulled away in that fourth quarter. She just brings so much energy. She's really just the heart and soul of this team. So hopefully she can make it back quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Georgia Tech, they're not putting up as many points a game as UConn, but they just lost today or excuse me, they won. Georgia Tech won today by a point, 55-54 over Georgia. Um, so again, Georgia Tech unranked, but they are 6-2. Doesn't look like any pushover school in any way.
No, I mean any of these schools can't be overlooked. These conference games, even though all the teams in UConn's conference might be unranked, they're very very important games. So UConn can't take any of these teams for granted, and they have to show up and bring their best ball every single game.
Listen up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. Ryan, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.